think this was quite a complex short film. It was long, as in kind of 20 minutes. It was on location, which adds so many different things in terms of hotels and travel and moving people around. And also literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, if we didn't have Wi-Fi, we'd have been screwed. Like, you know, it was no signal. Don't think we saw a street lamp for 5, 6, 7 days. And then you've got really complex shots, steady cam shots, lots of actors, not lots, but for a short film, quite a few. A really tight schedule in terms of, I think there was 8 days because of budget and 50 odd scenes, and it works out to something like 6.5 scenes a day. You normally do 3 on a feature, and so that was already complex. And then you throw in the mix, you've got a 5-year-old profoundly deaf girl, and you've got licensing issues, and the deafness, where I thought that might be a stumbling block because most of the crew were hearing, that wasn't the issue. It was the fact that we had to go through child licensing and have her on set for a certain amount of times, and she had to be off set. It was just a complex shoot. So I think the most challenging thing probably was the schedule. But all in all, it was, bar CGI, this thing had kind of everything, cars, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, really fun, and I think that's why we do it, because we enjoy the challenge. Did the shoot go to plan? Yes and no. I think you plan in pre-production to eliminate as much of the look side of it as possible. I think that's the key to it. So we do change things around, and you can't stop that because there are elements that it snowed, I think, one of the days, and we swapped the schedule around. Things just happen on a day-to-day basis where you have to move things around and be flexible. You can't be rigid with this thing. I'm sure there are days and there are certain scenes and films where you have to be rigid, but we'd have never got it done if we hadn't have just been a bit flexible. So I think all that planning is there to allow you to make the changes easier to do, if that makes any sense. And I think what made this a little bit more difficult for me and Becky, the other producer, was when planning it and changing things around, we had to bear in mind that we had licensing laws to keep up. So we could only have Maisie on set for a certain amount of time, and a certain amount of time in the whole day as well. So if something got moved around, it was like, can this work? Can we actually legally do this? So that added to the coffee budget in terms of me and Becky staying up and having to make sure that all kind of fitted in, and you were working through lunch breaks to make sure that could work. But did it go to plan? Yeah, like we got a film, we all lived to tell the tale and enjoyed it, and we filmed more than we needed to. So yeah, it went to plan. Filming's just exhausting. Generally, you do really long days, especially when you're kind of producing it. It doesn't finish when the crew finishes and when we wrap. There's all that stuff you want to plan for the next day, you want to get things sorted. So by day 4, you're kind of knackered and you just want to sleep. And there are times, even in the day, when things are going wrong, where you just want to curl up in a ball and just forget about it. But when Maisie comes on set, you go, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm here. And she does an amazing take. And she's probably one of the best actors I've ever worked with. And she's 5 years old, which says a lot, I think. But she's just got to do one scene, one movement, one look, and you just go, this is all worthwhile. Which is an amazing feeling, and I feel like that went across the whole crew. And pulled everybody up every time she came on set. It was amazing. But what's quite funny is that in any other job in the world, you wouldn't have a 5-year-old kind of running the show. You know, you wouldn't go into Topshop and say, can I speak to the manager? And they bring out a 5-year-old girl. But that's kind of what happens on this. It's everyone is there, and you get everything ready, and you spend hours prepping stuff. 25 full-grown professional adults wait for a 5-year-old to come on set and sit down, and then just wait for her to do her thing, because you can't really force her into it. She's 5 years old. And I feel like she was clever enough to know that and kind of know that she was in charge of the whole shoot, which was really amusing. And there was one time when she came on set and she kind of did a take and she was knackered, she was exhausted, and we walked away and it was kind of like, yeah, I think we got it, but maybe we didn't. Maybe we should look back at doing this scene again, but we've just got to move on now, it's too busy. And then in my ear, the second AD, Tom, said, I've got Maisie in my office. She said she wasn't happy with the take, she wants to come down and film it again. And that was coming from a 5-year-old girl, which I thought was really funny. So she came down, smashed it, and then went back to her dressing room.